This clause, it flips the liability. If you sign this, sir, your company takes the fall. The boardroom on the 27th floor of Hale Investments went dead quiet. The words, spoken by a 16-year-old girl, hung in the air like a suspended hammer, poised to shatter the multi-million-dollar deal on the table. Maya Williams, standing in the doorway in borrowed sneakers and a janitor's visitor badge, pointed a steady finger at the contract in front of the CEO, Jackson Hale. Just seconds before Jackson's pen had been hovering over the signature line. Across from him, the slick Texan businessman, Derek Vaughn, let out a low, awkward chuckle, his polished grin looking suddenly out of place. Jackson's wife, Clara, blinked sharply, a flicker of annoyance in her eyes. "Excuse me?" Derek asked, his voice a little too calm, a little too measured. Maya didn't flinch. "I read that clause on page 14, she continued, her voice clear and unwavering. "It shifts all merger-related liabilities to Hale Investments. If anything goes wrong, fraud, lawsuits, defaults, your company takes the full hit. Vaughn's firm walks away clean." A ripple of uneasy glances passed between the young executives at the table. One pulled the document closer, another frantically tapped at a tablet to find the page. "She shouldn't even be here," someone murmured from the back. "She's the janitor's daughter." Only 8 hours earlier, Maya's world had been simple. She and her mother, Denise, were part of the quiet clockwork cleaning crew that moved through the upper floors of Hale Investments after hours. While her mother vacuumed down the hall, Maya, dressed in a faded hoodie, sorted shredded files and wiped down glass doors. It was a routine of quiet efficiency. No noise, no questions, just finish and leave. But then she saw the folder. Left. In the copier tray, slightly ajar, its cover was stamped. Final draft merge agreement. It wasn't just curiosity that pulled her in, it was instinct. Maya wasn't like other kids her age. She didn't scroll endlessly on her phone. She read policy manuals and had once written a school essay on the collapse of Enron. She opened the folder, her eyes scanning the dense legalese, and then she saw it. Subtle, buried deep in subparagraph C, line 3 of the liability clause. A reversal of responsibility. If the deal went south, Hale Investments, not Vaughn Global, would absorb the complete financial and legal ruin. It was a trap. She had rushed to her mother, her voice a panicked whisper. "Mom, you ever seen a contract that hands over the whole company like this?" Her mother, Denise, barely looked up from polishing a glass wall. "Maya, stop it. Don't mess with their stuff. You want us both out of a job?" Maya had shut her mouth, but her mind couldn't stop racing. Now, in the silent boardroom, Jackson Hale stared at Maya, his silver brows furrowed. Slowly, deliberately, he lowered his pen. "You say that clause flips liability?" His voice was calm, almost too calm. "Yes, sir," Maya replied. "It's disguised in plain, legal-sounding text. It's meant to confuse anyone who isn't reading every single line. Jackson, this is nonsense. She's a child." Clara's voice cracked like frost, but Jackson was no longer listening to his wife. He flipped to page 14, his eyes scanning the text. A muscle in his jaw tightened. Derek leaned forward, his grin returning. "Are we really giving weight to conspiracy theories from someone who polishes the door handles?" Maya's cheeks flushed, but her voice held firm. "You can laugh, but if he signs that, your company's name is on every lawsuit that follows." A long, heavy pause settled over the room. Then Jackson's voice, low and decisive. "Security, escort her out." As the guards led her away, Maya stood tall. Just before the door closed behind her, she looked back and met Jackson Hale's eyes. In that brief moment, she saw that he didn't see a janitor's daughter. He saw a warning. He saw a mistake he had almost made. His pen never touched the paper. 30 floors above the city, Jackson Hale sat alone in his private office, the unsigned contract spread out before him like a crime scene. His finger traced the clause Maya had pointed out. Subparagraph C, line 3. She was right. The language wasn't just misleading, it was deliberately crafted to appear standard while setting up his company for ruin. "How the hell did I miss this?" he murmured. Clara's voice from the night before echoed in his memory. "It's a standard clause, Jackson. Just trust me." His trust was shattered. He began digging, cross-referencing old contracts with Derek Vaughn's firm. The patterns were too clean, too coordinated. Then, an email arrived from a name he didn't recognize. Robert Barnes. The subject line read, "You saw it too." The message was short. "I used to work there. I know what you saw. If you're willing to talk, I'll listen." That evening, Jackson pulled an old file from his safe. Hale Internal, Barnes Review. 2 years ago, Robert Barnes, a risk analyst, had flagged these very vulnerabilities. One note, scrawled in red pen, sent a chill down his spine. Risk exposure. Too centralized. If they plant one signature trap, we're done. His own board had ignored the warning. The conspiracy began to unravel. Barnes, speaking to Maya over an encrypted line, confirmed her fears. Derek Vaughn had used nearly identical language in a previous merger. The target company collapsed under legal fees within 6 months, and Vaughn walked away richer. Meanwhile, Jackson watched from a distance as his wife, Clara, met secretly with Derek, their body language speaking of a betrayal that went far beyond business. An internal alert from his bank confirmed it. Clara had attempted to move $2.5 million from a dormant company account. The noose wasn't just tightening, it was inside his own home. The fight for Hale Investments became a quiet war waged from inside the CEO's office. The corporate awards were replaced with whiteboards covered in timelines and bank transfers. At the center of it all was Maya, a teenager with a borrowed laptop and a folder full of secrets. With her was Victoria Chan, a formidable civil rights attorney Jackson had hired, known for taking cases no one else would touch. The threats escalated. Maya's mother was told her daughter's school records could be made to disappear. A note in Maya's locker read, "We know where you live. Stay silent, stay safe," but Maya refused to be silenced. She took the note straight to the principal, and Victoria secured a protection order. The first day of testimony arrived. The courtroom was packed, the air thick with anticipation. Victoria Chan opened with cold, hard facts, forensic analysis, shell companies, and forged authorizations that funneled all liability to Hale Investments, while Clara and Derek profited offshore. Then, Victoria called her key witness. "Your Honor, I'd like to call Maya Williams to the stand." A wave of gasps and scribbling pens filled the room. Maya walked forward, her steps steady, her eyes sharp. "Miss Williams," Victoria began gently, "what stood out to you in that contract?" Maya looked at the jury, then at Clara and Derek. There was a clause buried deep. It transferred all the risk to Mr. Hale's company. If something went wrong, only one side would take the hit. Why speak up? Victoria pressed. "You were 16. No one asked you to read it." Maya's gaze was unflinching. Just because I clean your floors doesn't mean I don't see the dirt." The courtroom froze. Even the judge's expression shifted. Derek Vaughn's attorney tried to rattle her on cross-examination. "Do you consider yourself an expert in business law, Miss Williams?" "No, sir," Maya replied calmly. "But I don't think you need a degree to see when someone's being set up to fail." When Jackson took the stand, he was asked one question. "What made you believe her?" He looked toward Maya. "My gut said she was right," he said. "But more than that, I remembered something I'd forgotten. That integrity doesn't depend on status. Sometimes the janitor's daughter sees the cracks before the board does." The verdict was unanimous. Guilty. Conspiracy. Falsifying documents. Obstruction. 10 years in federal prison, with no chance of parole for the first 7. Derek Vaughn's smirk vanished. Clara Hale closed her eyes as a lifetime of deceit crumbled around her. In the weeks that followed, Hale Investments didn't collapse. It was reborn. Jackson restructured the entire company, with Victoria Chan as the new chief. Ethics Counsel. At a press conference, he announced the establishment of the Maya Williams Fellowship, a scholarship for young minds with vision and courage. Months later, Maya stood in Jackson's office, an acceptance letter from Columbia University in her hand. "Do you regret any of it?" she asked. Jackson looked out at the Chicago skyline. "I regret that I didn't see it coming," he said softly. "But I don't regret who stood up when I couldn't." On a shelf above his desk, next to his most treasured awards, he placed a new plaque. It read, "Truth isn't loud, but it lasts." The empire hadn't fallen. It had been rebuilt from the ground up, made stronger by the one person they never saw coming. For more stories that uncover the hidden truth, visit Fable Crypt.